This is New Patreon Series number 83B, Part 2. We're discussing the question, did Yeshua predict his own resurrection? Now, there are many sayings created by the gospel writers where Jesus predicts his own resurrection. For example, in Matthew 12:39-40, he is made to say, "An evil and adulterous generation craves for a sign, and yet no sign shall be given to it but the sign of Jonah the prophet. For just as Jonah was 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of the sea monster, so shall the Son of Man be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth." Obviously, this is nothing that could have been predicted beforehand. In John 2:18-22, Jesus answered and said to them, "Destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up." Then the Jews said, "Is it taking 46 years to build this temple, and you will raise it up in 3 days?" But he was speaking of the temple of his body. When therefore he was raised from the dead, his disciples remembered that he said this, and they believed the scripture and the word which Jesus had spoken. Again, this could have only been written as in retrospect. "Therefore my Father loved me, because I laid down my life that I may take it again. No one takes it from me, but I lay it down of myself. I have authority to lay it down, and I have authority to take it again." This appears in John 10:17 and 18. Now, this is an evangelical scholar's opinion. This is a person who believes that everything that is written in the New Testament is literally true and that historically happened. He says Jesus predicted his own resurrection. The first time we find him speaking about being raised from the dead was at the beginning of his ministry. When asked for a sign, he gave him the sign of the temple, which was figuratively for his body. On another occasion, when asked for a sign, he gave him the sign of Jonah. As Jonah was 3 days in the belly of the sea creature, so Jesus will be 3 days in the earth. He also privately told his disciples details about his death and resurrection. Jesus made public statements about his resurrection. This caused the religious leaders to request a guard at his tomb. There would be no need for a guard unless he had predicted that he would come back from the dead. Therefore, the evidence is clear. And this is from Jesus Predicted His Resurrection by the Reverend Don Stewart, editor of the Blue Letter Bible. But, as I have pointed out, all these are taken from sayings created by the gospel writers many years after the execution of Yeshua. They are not authentic words of Yeshua. Here are some sayings of Jesus predicting his crucifixion and resurrection, composed by Mark and then modified by Matthew and Luke. Mark 10:33-34 says, "Behold, we are going up to Jerusalem, and the Son of Man will be betrayed to the chief priests and to the scribes, and they will condemn him to death and deliver him to the Gentiles, and they will mock him and scourge him and spit on him and kill him, and the 3rd day he will rise again." Obviously, this could only be written in retrospect. Luke 9:21-22, "The Son of Man must suffer many things and be rejected by the elders, the chief priests, and teachers of the law, and he must be killed, and after 3 days rise again." And the Son of Man in the New Testament narratives is a term that Yeshua uses for himself. In Matthew 17:20-23, he says, "Now while they were staying in Galilee, Jesus said to them, 'The Son of Man is about to be betrayed into the hands of men, and they will kill him, and on the 3rd day he will be raised up.' and they were exceedingly sorrowful. Again, this could only be written as in retrospect after the events. There are no sayings of the historical Jesus predicting his resurrection. I can find none in his historical authentic statements, although in fact he historically did predict his own crucifixion and his trial and his being executed as a criminal, and he in fact provoked it, and so it was done on purpose, and that is something I've talked about in previous presentations. But there are no sayings of the historical Jesus predicting his resurrection. Despite the attempts of others to show otherwise, I find no instances of the historical Jesus predicting his resurrection, or his chema, or any kind of appearance that would be related to his disciples. The following and some others indicate that he expected his message to be controversial. For example, I am come to set fire on the earth, and what will I if it be already kindled? That's a Q statement. It's obviously authentic. It's in Q because we find it in both Luke, Matthew, and the Gospel of Thomas, the 10th Logan. Q indicates the saying is early and authentic, and the Gospel of Thomas saying confirms that. The interpretation is something like this. My mission is to proclaim the advent of God's rule on earth, which will set Father against Son and is already manifesting. So here are my conclusions. Yeshua did not predict his resurrection, and his disciples did not expect it. He warned them to flee to Galilee so his message will not die with him. Please click on the Patreon link in my description just below the video to become a patron, helping to sponsor my new videos on the pre-Christian teachings of Yeshua. Thank you very much.